Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a very strong LMG build that you can do pretty much any and all content with in the entire game. It's very strong, as you can see, just dishing out insane amounts of damage. I still think that AR builds and other builds in certain situations can be a little bit more powerful, but LMG, as you can see, is still very good and is a ton of fun to play with. I haven't played with LMG in a very long time, so I really wanted to make a build about an LMG, so really happy to make this. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. I'd also like to mention that this video is sponsored by Perfect World. Recently, they came out with a game called Remnant from the Ashes, which is like a third-person survival action shooter set in like a post-apocalyptic world. It's overrun by monstrous creatures. It's pretty awesome. I played it a little bit, and I had a ton of fun, and everybody that I know that has played it has had a lot of fun playing it. If there's anything that I could describe it as, it's kind of like Dark Souls meets The Division. It's like a third-person shooter type of Dark Souls with RPG elements. I had a lot of fun playing it. It's really difficult, and I definitely recommend it to anybody that is looking to get another game. It has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. Like I said, pretty much everybody that I know that has actually played it personally has enjoyed the hell out of it. I played it personally for about 3 hours on stream today. I didn't have a lot of time to play, but while I did play, I had a lot of fun. I was actually trying to do it on nightmare mode my first playthrough. Probably not the best idea, but it was a lot of fun, and I definitely plan on playing it a little bit more in the future. So if you're looking for something new to play, I would definitely recommend it. This video will be out anyways. Let's get right into the build. Alright, so starting out with the specialization, like always, I'm going to be running Gunner. It really doesn't matter all that much. The reason that I'm going with Gunner, though, is of course, getting LMG damage. Also, I don't have a lot of this spec'd out, but I'll get more into that. But the main thing is that you get a large pouch, which is plus 50 in the mag, as opposed to plus 35, so that's huge. And then also you get this, which is rate of fire is increased by 5% on a kill for 5 seconds, which is a pretty nice additional extra, almost 5% free damage. But on top of that, you get this amazing perk that is 20% weapon handling whilst not moving, which is huge for LMGs. You can also get this, which is pretty good. Every 5th reload is 50% faster. I believe once you get this to plus 3, it's like way faster than that, obviously. It's really good. The reason that I don't have this maxed out right now is because you get this perk that gives you extra armor when killing enemies. It's actually 15% if you were to upgrade it all 3 times. Obviously, I don't have the points. The reason that I didn't do this, though, is because with this build I'm running Berserk, and getting additional armor after you kill somebody is kind of counterintuitive to how you want to play with Berserk. But if you feel like it's worth it and you like having the reload, it's huge for that. But you definitely want to go Gunner for the large pouch, the extra rate of fire, and the weapon handling there is pretty nice. Now getting into the build itself, of course, mine is incredibly far from perfect. I grinded for hours and hours and hours trying to get a piece, and I'm sure as you guys know, this game's RNG is terrible, and I just got really unlucky. So first thing you notice is I am missing Petrov. The reason for that is it's very difficult to get a well-rolled Petrov piece, and I'll get into where you'd exactly want to put that piece, but the way that I have it, even without the Petrov, which is only 10% damage, it's better for me to just have it the way that it is currently, rather than having the Petrov piece and then losing a ton of HP or damage otherwise. So one of the other main things that you probably noticed is that my health is pretty low. If you're playing, it depends on what content you're playing. You could go for more health or less health. For most things, having a pretty low health pool is fine, but if you're trying to use this build with a raid or something, obviously you go for more survivability. Just the way that I have it set up, I like to have lower HP, and then I can just spec more into damage. But like I said, if you want to go for more health, you 100% can do that. So the main thing with this build is that I'm going for Berserk and then trying to stack an okay amount of health so that I can have pretty much no armor and then gain the additional damage bonus. The reason that this build is different from normal LMG builds is that LMGs now work with Berserk, meaning that you want to make use of this talent pretty much, as before you weren't able to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much the main components of the build. I'll get into the individual pieces that I have in a minute, but first let's just start off with the gun, and then I'll get into every individual piece and the branchlets, etc. So starting off with the gun, I got an M60 here. This, in my opinion, is going to be the best LMG pretty much far and away. You definitely want to get an unhinged, and then you can just pretty much counteract the reduction in weapon handling by just running optimized. This makes it to where the gun is incredibly accurate anyways with optimized, as this is actually going to give you more accuracy than the accuracy talent would. Why that works like that, I have no idea, but you definitely want to go for unhinged. I mean, it's just pretty much free 20% additional weapon damage. And then in terms of the mods here, I have the C79 scope with 5% damage release because I'm running it with a Nemesis. You could very easily run it with Chatterbox. The problem is that LMGs have very slow reload speed, so I'd rather just have the constant additional 25% extra headshot damage. And then for the muzzle here, I have 10% accuracy. You could easily go for more damage deletes if you realize that you have enough accuracy as it is. I think with the perk procced from the gunner tree, you'd have more than enough accuracy, so you could easily swap for this, but I just like having as much accuracy as human possible. So same thing with the grip there, more accuracy. You could easily go for more reload speed or crit chance if you wanted to just get a lot of damage. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the mods. Obviously running a nemesis for the secondary, and then the other gun doesn't really matter all that much. Getting into brands, I think the main important thing here is just getting 1 or 2 piece Araldi, and then with the rest of it you can kind of do whatever. You can do Murakami for additional health, you can do Wyvern for the crit here, but definitely want to try to incorporate 2 Araldi here so that you can get additional accuracy and the headshot damage. At the very least you want 1 piece just for the accuracy, because accuracy on an M60 is huge, especially when running unhinged. That's going to be your main source of damage. If you have pretty much no accuracy, if you miss even just 1 additional bullet due to the loss of accuracy, that's actually losing more damage than like getting an extra like 40% weapon damage on your gun. So you definitely want to make sure to get as much accuracy as you can. You don't necessarily have to run 2-piece. You could easily run a Petrov backpack here instead, but you could also run Araldi gloves and then a Petrov backpack without losing it. I'll get into why I'm running these Alps gloves and every single piece in a second here, but starting off with the mask, you could easily go Murakami mask or maybe a DNH mask for extra accuracy if you really feel like you want it, or a Wyvern mask for crit damage or whatever. The mask doesn't matter that much. The reason that I have this one is because I don't have a good Murakami one, and this one has the highest damage to elites roll that I own currently, and it has a decent health roll as well, on top of having hard hitting. You definitely want to make sure that you have damage to elites and hard hitting for just flat damage. Here I just have random mods, doesn't really matter there. You can use whatever skill you're using. For the chest piece, this looks stupid, but I'm running a Fenris chest so that I can get 2 talents here. Obviously being Berserk and then hard hitting, which is just extra damage. And then for the rolls here, I got really high headshot damage roll, weapon damage, and crit chance. You definitely want to make sure to get weapon damage and headshot damage. Crit chance not as much because you're not really getting crit. I'd probably rather have like a 15k health roll or something right there, but unfortunately I didn't get a perfect roll. Is what it is, not a huge deal there. And then I have a defensive mod slot here. I'd rather have an offensive mod slot and then just instead of the crit chance, just have a health roll. Instead of hard hitting, you could also go for vital if you want more survivability, but Fenris chest is the only chest in the game that can get 2 talents, which is why I really like having a Fenris chest. You could definitely decide to go for a Petrov chest and then just deal with only having 1 talent. I don't even have a good one. I don't own a Petrov chest that has Berserk and is actually rolled well. Otherwise, I'd probably do that because I'd be making up for the loss of damage with hard hitting with the additional LMG damage, and then not having that talent isn't that big of a deal. You would lose a mod slot, but hey, you got to make trade-offs. But Fenris is great if you get a well-rolled one, as well as a well-rolled Petrov backpack. But like I said, and as you can see with this build, you don't necessarily need to have a Petrov piece to make it work. Of course, extra damage is nice though. For the holster, I really recommend having an Araldi holster because you can get high health roll as well as getting precise and an offensive mod slot. You could say you could get a Petrov, but the thing is that you lose a talent and you lose a mod slot, which is straight up just not worth getting the extra damage there. I'd much rather have precise plus the extra, damage to armor, weapon damage, and LMG damage mod that I have here. And I'm getting a really big health roll here, so I'd rather have this as well as getting the headshot damage from Araldi. Same thing with the backpack here. I just have a high health roll. Definitely want to make sure that you get health and weapon damage on the backpack, and then I have hard hitting and an offensive mod slot. There's a lot that you can do with the backpack. You can get a Gila one that's kind of rolled like this. You can get a Petrov one that has, headshot damage, or not headshot damage, weapon damage, health, and then either hard hitting or vital. You can't get a mod slot on that, unfortunately, but you could just get decent rolls here. But with the backpack, it really doesn't matter that much. I usually like to go for a Araldi though, because you can get a high health roll as well as a high weapon damage roll. A high, you can get hard hitting or vital here, and then you could also get, a weapon damage mod, which is going to give you 6% extra weapon damage. My Elgato just freaked out for a second. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. I have absolutely no idea what just happened, but no big deal. So yeah, getting the mod here, free extra damage, that's pretty nice. Now, for the gloves, I have Alps gloves. The reason is because Alps gloves are the only gloves that you can get good stats as well as a passive talent and an offensive mod slot here. Most other gloves, such as like Araldi gloves, they're not going to have the mod slot, right? This is pretty much the same thing. It's just missing a mod slot, and missing that mod slot is like 5% LMG damage on this roll. I could get a better mod, but not a big deal. Usually want one with weapon damage, LMG damage, and armor damage, but this is pretty good as is. It's still 5%. I'm getting the LMG damage precise and the mod slot, but if you want to run a Petrov backpack and then a Raldi gloves, you can definitely do that instead of running the Alps gloves. And then for the knee pads, I have Wyvern. Not necessarily for the crit damage, mainly just because Wyvern knee pads get an offensive mod slot, whereas Murakami or something gets defensive. You could easily run Providence. Oh god, it was freaking out, dude. Sorry about that again. You could run Providence knee pads to get a defensive roll here and then run an offensive mod slot instead of having the crit chance here. Obviously, mine is a 450 piece, it's not a big deal, but getting the crit chance and hard hitting is just free extra damage, as well as having the offensive mod slot there is more damage. Or you could run something like this and just get a shitload of you can get health here and then put in 2 health mods, and then this could be your way of getting a lot of survivability. There's a lot of malleability with this build. You can kind of do whatever you want. It just depends on if you want to get a lot of health or what, but usually I just like to have a low amount of health just so that I can hit really high numbers, because that's just the way that I like playing. But of course, if you're doing a raid or something, you definitely, near on the side of having way more HP. In terms of, mods, or not mods, skills or whatever, I'd recommend, just like normal chem launcher and drone. Depends on what you're doing. Maybe you could, instead of running chem launcher or instead of running drone, you could run a revive hive just in case you die or something like that. But not a big deal. You can kind of do whatever you want there. Maybe you can run something for damage if that's more your style, or you could run Crusader shield like a weirdo. No, that doesn't work with LMGs actually. Never mind. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. I'm gonna leave some gameplay here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.